From famous clients to international disputes, this business has seen it all. And I feel like for an online digital shop, it's quite unexpected. So today I am lifting the lid on what's inside, well, not my little black book, but my little pink book, and taking you behind the scenes on what it's really like to run one of the most loved legal businesses in the UK. And I feel like I can say that because who normally says that they love working with a lawyer? We have got so many comments and responses and emails from people saying that they love what Lucy Legal does, and I'm not surprised. So if you haven't met me yet, I'm Lucy Wheeler, the founder of Lucy Legal, and we support entrepreneurs with the legal side of running a business, trying to take the headache away by giving you easy to use templates and toolkits to plug and play into your business. So let's begin on what really happens behind the scenes. So I feel like there's a massive elephant in the room here about what actually happens in this business. And I don't mean what I do all day, although I appreciate that some of my friends do sort of say to me, but Luce, do you just play on your phone all day? Like they said, one of my best friends, she said, just walk me through this. So you sit down at your desk, you open your laptop, then what happens? And I get it, because as an entrepreneur, we are literally creating a business out of nothing. And it might seem like, okay, once you've cleared your mailbox, then what are you doing? Well, let me tell you, this online business, whilst I have sold over 6 figures in legal templates alone, it is anything but passive. So if you are here hoping that I'm going to tell you how you can make millions whilst laying on the beach, I mean, I probably can share more of my tips on that if you want, because we have done some incredible things where we have created a lot of money off digital products, but there is a hell of a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. So let me take you back to the beginning, where for me, the beginning really is when I went full-time in the business, which was September 2020. Within the first month, I had my first celebrity client. Now, you won't have ever heard of me talk about this because I am very old school when it comes to confidentiality. And by that, I mean, I just adhere to the rules of confidentiality, I guess. I'm always so nervous to say too much. And I have very carefully written down what I can say in the confidence that I can share with you, and you will not know who it is. But within the first month, I started working for a very famous client who was actually part of 2, and he was a very big name, and my client is their partner. And they had the fancy lawyers, and they said to me, look, we have got the big legal team because so-and-so has these lawyers. And she said to me, they don't talk to me, Lucy. They talk to him, and this is my idea. This is my baby. So I've gone out and found someone who I know is an expert in this area, and I want to work with you. And they came to me through a recommendation, which I think is always really helpful to know. Like, how did you get that connection? Honestly, my book of contacts, well, I'm going to say it's not full of famous people. I'd actually say now it is. Now I live a very different life, and I work with the most incredible clients, and I'm going to come on to some of those in a moment. But when I first started out, I didn't have a famous friends list, and I was awed by this person, and the meetings were incredible, and she would attend and I would give legal support, and they had a huge launch of what they were doing, and it was very much her baby, and I felt so proud to be able to support another woman in business, and for her to be able to get her own legal support and to get someone who really cared about what she was doing and not letting it be in the shadow of their famous partner. And it was such an incredible moment seeing everything that I had created as part of their what they were selling. So I'd done all the terms and conditions, and even my dad purchased from them, and he sent me an email saying, get emotional, saying how proud he was, and that he had for the first time read all of the sales terms and conditions. And I get it. I don't think he'd ever read them in full before when purchasing something, won't say what, from a website. So that was really amazing. And as I said, that was in the first few months, and it's not stopped since. We now have an incredible portfolio of influencers who have huge accounts, really big brands doing like important work as well. I'm not going to try and say things like changing lives, because look, they're not doctors and nurses, but equally they are changing people's lives. They are doing really great things every day. They support people with their mental health. They help them to show up confidently. Like, they make a positive impact on the world. And I think that the influencer journey and creatives have gone through a really different dynamic from when I started, because you may not know this. The reason I started Lucy Legal was because I had my own brand account, a fitness account called Lucy Fitness. And I used to post, it was back in the day where you did like do a little flat lay. I used to do a little flat lay of my meals, and I grew that account, and I had brand deals of my own. I worked with brands like Merrill, the North Face, New Balance. I got gifted places for incredible events like the London Marathon. It was an incredible chapter. And at that point, I was actually thinking of moving out of being a lawyer in the city and working at, if I wanted to go into fitness full time. And I decided really weirdly on the tube one night on the way home, I was like, everyone is struggling to like get what they want on these brand deals, and they're really struggling to negotiate contracts. I wonder if people would want my support with that. And like, I would turn up at an event, for example, in a taxi, and they'd be like, how did you get that? I was like, just ask for it. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I just negotiated the contract. They're like, you negotiated the contract? I was like, mm-hmm. And I didn't realise, probably they're like, oh, here we go. I didn't realise that like wasn't a thing. And I think even more so back, we're talking like 2017 at this point, 2017, 2018. I don't think that influencers really were negotiating brand deals, but I just didn't know that wasn't what people did, because obviously I'm a lawyer at heart, and I just said, oh, thanks so much for this offer, that's so great. I live miles away, any chance of getting a car. It wasn't really me trying to get something for free or anything like that. It was just more as like, I'd love to come to the event, but actually the trains don't even start that early kind of thing. And so unintentionally, I then created this whole network of people and was able to then tap into that. Really interesting business point. I then didn't do any research, just thought, I'm sure people want to buy it. They did not. Personal trainers and fitness professionals did not particularly want legal support and expensive legal documents. They did want to protect their clients, but they didn't have the budget to do that. But other people in the online space did. And it was at the start of when coaching and online coaching was coming to be a thing. And so that's how it all started. And it brought with it loads of drama. And I still have that now. I have brand disputes that are like international brand disputes, people having trademark issues, trademark debates. I have managed to successfully defend my clients on trademark oppositions from huge household names like John Lewis, Tommy Hilfiger, big companies like that, Warner Brothers. I have supported my clients to win against those. And now, obviously, my clients weren't applying for something like John Lewis, because I would have told them they weren't going to get that. But they were applying for things which companies like John Lewis, and they were so amazing the way their legal team behaved. And what's so fascinating is the legal teams that they have in place often reflect the brand. Like John Lewis were really good because their one, like you could totally see, and I was like, this is a totally valid point, but they were so nice about it, the way they were, the way their legal team were, they were really firm but fair, and I was like, totally see your point, but no, and we agreed, and my client got what they wanted. Brilliant outcome for us, brilliant outcome for them, because they came across in such a nice way. Not all the legal teams do that. The legal teams do often reflect the brand values. And I think that's what's so important. And I think that's why this business has been so successful, because people want to be associated with our brand, and like the way that we write contracts and the way that our legal templates are drafted, like extends out then into other people's brands. And it's a fair and firm way of having a contract. They're not aggressive, they're not confrontational. They just really do what they say on the tin. And I do think that that's almost why I have managed to achieve what I have in my career, because at the end of the day, I am just a friendly northerner. I am just a girl next door, someone with massive dreams, big ambitions, and I think that people like that when it comes to legal. They don't want to put their clients in a situation where their clients can't understand a contract, because they then don't want to have to explain that contract to them. So I think my straight talking, easily accessible approach has made such a difference to the success I've had across my career. But I mean, that doesn't take away the pressure. There's huge amounts of pressure, and I don't really talk about it online, but I feel it every day, this pressure to do everything perfectly, because I'm not telling people what to do, but like I'm saying, this is how to do this, or this is how you should update your privacy statement. Updates made by the 19th of June, by the way, at the time of filming. But things like making sure you've got trademark in place. I know that people will be scrutinising the terms on our website and looking at our trademarks and looking at how I show up. And I feel like I have a real pressure to be doing everything perfectly, but also not to be making any mistakes. And at the same time, showing up authentically and being honest about the mistakes that we're making or about things that aren't going so well. I do find that all a lot to juggle. And I just made a few notes before we started about a post that I'd done about being authentic, and I'd posted, and this went viral back in 2020 because I posted that I made 2.8 million in my first year of business, and I did, but I made 2.8 million yen, and it was just really annoying me, the income claims that people make. Like, it doesn't matter how much you make. If you make £10,000 in a month, that tells people nothing. Well, it tells you that you brought in £10,000 of revenue, but if your expenses were 10,001, then it's not necessarily successful business, is it? And that was just really the rhetoric all the time at that point. So I used to share that a lot. But what you don't see when I share things like that is the backlash that it gets and the exclusion from rooms. And there are a lot of people that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and then they do take it out on me. They block me from their accounts, they block my accounts, and I don't really care, because I've always kept out of the drama, always trying to be neutral, always trying to be Switzerland. But I think in this, like, people know that I know, like, people know that I've been on the other side of the dispute to them, obviously, and they know that I'll have seen inside people's businesses. And honestly, you wouldn't believe what you see in people's businesses, but mine isn't perfect either. I am scrabbling at the moment. We're trying to sort out, I've got a new ops lead and a new marketing lead. I've been running the business mostly with just a bit of administrative support sort of for the last 18 months by myself. And there's so much behind the scenes that needs changing, but I won't go into all of that. I would just say that you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, for sure, but the offset of running a business where it is largely passive is an incredible thing to do. And I will never forget the moment when I was sitting watching a magic show with my daughter, and I looked at my phone on the way out, and we'd made £1,200 passively. And there are times when I am with family and friends on the weekend, and I'll just check my phone, and we've made hundreds of pounds. And the enormity and the amazingness of that is never going to get old. Like, I still do a celebratory dance every time someone purchases from us, because they're purchasing from me as a real person, and I know they don't have to do that, and I know it's their hard-earned money, and I feel so proud that people invest in our business. And that's why I always really want to make sure that we create an incredible experience for people when they're part of the brand too. But I will go into that in another video. So please make sure that you are subscribing. And if you like this video, please do let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions or queries, please do get in touch. Have a great day.